Hello and welcome back to another video on the Football Zone and to a midweek review reviewing Champions League, Premier League and Championship action from this week. So let's get straight into it with United crashing out of the Champions League with a 1-0 loss to Atletico Madrid at Old Trafford. Lodi with a goal in the 41st minute, and yeah, Atletico Madrid, to be honest, they deserve to go through. Great game management from Simeone, and United were poor. The referee was poor as well, but United were worse, and over the course of the two legs United just didn't deserve to go through, and it just says a lot about the state of the club at the moment. So disappointing. Moving on then to Wednesday's Champions League action, and Chelsea had a bit of a scare when they went 1-0 down away to Lille through Yilmaz from the spot, but Pulisic in the first half stoppage time brought it level to settle a few nerves, and then Azpilicueta in the 71st minute gave Chelsea the victory. So yeah, a win on the night and on aggregate for Chelsea, so yeah, they'll be very happy with that. With all this stuff going on in the background, it's a solid win for them. And yeah, they can look forward to the league games now. Moving on then to the Premier League, and starting off on Wednesday night with a comfortable away win for Tottenham as they defeated Brighton 2-0. Romero in the first half and Kane in the second half for the goals. And yeah, for Tottenham this was a deserved victory, you'd probably say. Brighton didn't have any shots on goal. So yeah, disappointing performance for them. And for Tottenham after the big loss of the weekend, good for them to get back on track. It's probably too late for top four, but you never know really, do you? You just got to still keep pressing on in there. Moving on then to a really entertaining game at the Emirates where it finished Arsenal 0, Liverpool 2. A poor mistake from Aaron Ramsdale gave Jota and Liverpool the lead in the 54th minute, and Firmino 8 minutes later gave Liverpool a 2-0 lead, and yeah, after that Liverpool really held it out. I'd probably say a draw would be a fair result here, but Liverpool really just showing what a top team they are. You give the top team a chance, then they'll grab it with both hands, won't they? And Liverpool just proved it there. So yeah, Arsenal will be frustrated, but for Liverpool, really great result for them. Puts pressure massively on City. Everton 1, Newcastle 0 was a score in a crazy game at Goodison Park, which featured protesters invading the pitch and handcuffing themselves to goal. Let's not go into it. A red card, which was never a red, and a very late winner for Everton in the 90+9 minute, thanks to that protester. Yeah, just incredible scenes. And for Everton, such a big momentum boost, and you really do feel like that could be the turning point in their season. Newcastle, I think they're just very happy they're far away from the relegation zone, but yeah, huge win for Everton. Moving on to the Championship games then, and starting off on Tuesday with Barnsley 2, Bristol City 0, a huge good result at the foot of the Championship, and 2 early goals for Barnsley, one from Morris and one from Hellick. And yeah, Barnsley, it was a comfortable win for them really, and yeah, deserved the win. Bristol City huffed and puffed, but 2-0 down so early on against a team struggling like Barnsley, really disappointing. But for Barnsley now within 2 points of Reading, unbeaten in 3, and yeah, all of a sudden they're looking really good for their survival prospects. Moving on then to St Andrews where it finished Birmingham 0, Middlesbrough 2. Connolly in the 23rd minute and Balogun in the 62nd minute. We also missed a Paddy McNair penalty miss in the 51st minute, and Pedersen getting sent off for Birmingham in the 86th minute. So yeah, all round great result for Middlesbrough. For Birmingham though, once again really disappointing. They're just sleepwalking towards the end of the season now, lower mid-table. But for Middlesbrough, after a bit of a shoddy run, gets them back on track. Moving on then to Blackburn 3, Derby 1, and Blackburn really needed this win. Ravel Morrison gave Derby the lead in the 28th minute before goals from Wharton, Dolan and Gallagher for Blackburn in the second half sealed the win. And it's good to know that Blackburn can actually score, and hopefully that's the momentum boost they needed for them to get their playoff charge back on track, because it is starting to look a bit shaky at the moment, which is obviously disappointing for them. But for Derby though, it's really frustrating once again, dropping points, and all of a sudden their survival prospects aren't looking too great at all. Moving on then to the Vitality Stadium as Bournemouth drew 1-1 with Reading, and Dominic Solanke in the 8th minute gave Bournemouth the lead, and you thought it'd be a comfortable win for Bournemouth from here on in, but no, it proved not to be the case. Reading huffed and puffed searching for the equaliser and found it through a brilliant goal from Tom Ince in the 83rd minute. And yeah, Reading, I'd probably say they were just about worthy of their point. So yeah, they'll be very pleased with that. Didn't see that coming at all, but for Barnsley winning, it is frustrating for them. But for Bournemouth, that game against Huddersfield gets bigger, doesn't it? Moving on then to West Brom 1, Fulham 0 at the Hawthorns. Robinson in the 64th minute with the only goal of the game, and yeah, great result for West Brom. I don't think they'd have seen this renaissance coming in the last few weeks, where playing like Huddersfield and Fulham at home. But hopefully things are starting to click now for Steve Bruce, and that's brilliant to see. For Fulham, though, 1 point from their last 2 games, they'll be frustrated. But fortunately for them, they've already done the job, and they're going to be a Premier League team next year, probably even if they lose all their remaining games. Moving on then to the action from Wednesday night, and starting off at Blackpool, where they drew 0-0 with Sheffield United, and you'd probably say here that Blackpool I'd say a draw was probably a fair result. I mean, it wasn't the best game we've ever seen. Just 2 shots on goal for Sheffield United and 1 shot on goal for Blackpool. So that kind of sums it up. Sheffield United, though, in ninth place, need to get a win soon to get the playoff charge back on track. Moving on then to Cardiff, as they drew 2-1 with Stoke. Lewis Baker, he seems to be on great form at the moment, giving Stoke the lead in the 23rd minute before a quick turnaround from Cardiff on the stroke of half-time through Doyle and Hugill sealed the win for Cardiff. And the good run of form under Steve Morrison seems to be continuing, but for Stoke it's a really, really shocking run they're on at the moment, and I think, to be honest, it will be spelling the end of Michael O'Neill's reign, because it just hasn't been good enough recently, has it? Moving on then to Coventry, as they were defeated 2-0 at home to Hull, and this was really, really disappointing from Coventry. Smallwood and Longman with a goal in the first half for Hull, for Hull it's a really, really great victory for them, they're a friendly team. They seem to go on bad runs but then suddenly find a great result out of nowhere, and this is just a case in point. They'll be pleased with that, but for Coventry, though, it's a really disappointing result, and I think they're just in mid-table now for the season, really. Moving on then to a thrashing at Kenilworth Road, as it finished Luton 4, Preston 0, Berry, Onyedinma, Berry and a Diaby own goal were the goal scorers for Luton, Luton, comfortable win for them, really deserving of it, really. Their playoff charge just keeps marching on. Obviously a disappointing result of the weekend, but this was the best way to bounce back from it. So they'll be absolutely delighted with that. They're looking in a good position for the playoffs, they really are. But for Preston, this was really poor. I didn't see this result coming at all, really. Moving on then to Millwall 2, Huddersfield 0 at the Den. Benik Afobe with a brace for Millwall in the 27th and the 57th minute. For Millwall, really, really solid result, definitely deserving of the victory. Still keeping themselves in and around the playoff race. It's going to be tough for them to go, but you never ever know. And for Huddersfield, though, you just feel like that late collapse to West Brom last time out could really be the killer for them. Just need to find the momentum now, because maybe a playoff place for them isn't even secured at this point. Moving on then to Forest 3, QPR 1 at the City Ground. Andre Gray in the 40th minute gave QPR the lead before Jed Spence, Ryan Yates and Brennan Johnson with the goals for Forest in the second half turned it around. And screamer from Jed Spence, by the way, really, really good goal. For Forest, it's a big victory. Really puts them back. It really puts them into the playoff race, 8th place. But got a game in hand and all the teams around them. And for QPR, though, disappointing, especially after taking the lead. Moving on into a crazy game at the Western Home Stadium. Peterborough 2, Swansea 3. Obafemi gave Swansea the lead just before the break, but Sonny Smolsticks and Jack Marriott gave Peterborough the 2-1 lead. But late goals from Obafemi and Piru secured Swansea the win. And great win for Swansea. For Peterborough, though, it's gutting, really, because they've had a couple of winnable home games and they haven't got much from it. And you do really feel like that kind of seals their fate in League One for next season. But for Swansea, good comeback victory. They'll be very, very pleased with that. But anyway, guys, that's it for today. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe. Remember your thoughts, comments down below. If you want to thanks for daily football news, and subscribe to my channel on the screen right now. It'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace.